Have you ever stopped to think about just how incredible your own physical journey is? I mean, you started as a single cell and became the person you are right now. It's a story of constant, absolutely remarkable change. So today, let's dive into that incredible journey of physical development.
Right, this is the big question, isn't it? It's the mystery we're going to try to unpack. And this isn't just about getting bigger. It's about how our physical form literally builds the foundation for our minds, for our behaviors, for everything we become.
Okay, so our journey begins long before we ever take our first breath. It's during this prenatal stage, our first 9 months, that the fundamental biological blueprint for a human being gets laid out. This really sets the stage for absolutely everything that follows.
And this really highlights just how vulnerable we are from the very beginning. You see, there are these things called teratogens. They're basically external threats, things like certain chemicals or viruses, that can actually cross the placental barrier and mess with that super delicate developmental blueprint.
And you know, the risks aren't just from the outside. Internal factors, stuff like hormonal imbalances or even just spontaneous genetic mutations, can also change the developmental path. It is a powerful reminder of how many things need to go exactly right from the start.
So after birth, development just accelerates like crazy. The period of infancy and childhood is, well, it's an explosion of growth. We're hitting all these major physical and psychological milestones that unlock totally new ways of interacting with the world.
For instance, think about the rooting reflex. This isn't something a baby learns. It's like a pre-programmed survival instinct. A simple touch on the cheek triggers this whole complex behavior all aimed at finding food. It's a perfect early example of the link between a physical trigger and a mental process.
And here's another piece of our built-in software, the Moro reflex. You might know it as the startle reflex. You know that sudden flinging out of the arms when a baby feels like they're falling? That's not just some random movement. It's a primitive, protective response that's hardwired right into their system.
And finally, the grasp reflex. You've probably seen this one. Place a finger in a newborn's palm and they'll grip it with some surprising strength. And these reflexes, they aren't just cute quirks. Doctors actually use them to check a newborn's neurological health. Their presence is a huge sign that the central nervous system is developing just like it should be.
Now, all this physical development basically opens up these little windows for learning. And this brings up a really important distinction. See, unlike imprinting in animals, humans have what's called a critical period. This is a very specific time when our brains are just uniquely ready to learn certain skills, and hitting that window is vital for normal development.
This quote about language is maybe the most powerful example of why that critical period matters so much. Language has to be learned during a specific window when the brain is at its most receptive. If that window is missed, the physical brain structures that support language can be permanently affected. It's a huge deal.
So after the super fast growth of childhood, things seem to slow down until adolescence hits. And this isn't just some phase of being moody. It is a dramatic biological remodeling of the entire body, a second massive wave of physical transformation. And the trigger for all of this change? Puberty. This is the biological starting gun for the transition into adulthood. It's a whole cascade of hormones that reshapes us physically and prepares the body for reproduction. Puberty involves two different kinds of changes. You've got your primary characteristics. Those are the changes to the reproductive organs themselves, the internal engine, so to speak. Then you have the secondary characteristics. These are the more visible external signals, things like a deeper voice or breast development that kind of announce to the world that this massive internal shift is happening.
And maybe the most noticeable change of all is the growth spurt. I think we all remember that. This rapid increase in size can be pretty awkward and honestly, a bit bewildering. It fundamentally changes an adolescent's relationship with their own body and how they even navigate the physical world around them.
But here's the thing. The story doesn't end when we stop growing taller. Not by a long shot. Physical development is a lifelong process. So now, let's look at the longer, more gradual arc of changes that define adulthood and aging. Yeah, throughout adulthood, physical change is still a constant. I mean, there are significant biological shifts like menopause, but there are also these more gradual, subtle changes in our mobility, our reaction time, and even how sharply we see and hear. Our bodies just keep on writing new chapters in our physical story, year after year.
So from the very first reflexes of a tiny infant to the gradual changes of aging, our physical development is so deeply connected to our minds and our identities. It's not just a body we happen to live in, it's the vehicle for our entire experience of life. This journey is universal, but it's also uniquely yours. So, what has your journey taught you?